Anytime women come together with a collective intention, it's a powerful thing. Whether it's sitting down making a quilt, anytime preparing a meal, in a club reading the same book, or around the table playing cards, or planning a birthday party, when women come together with a collective intention, magic happens. It can still be women coming together as they've come together today. It's International Women's Day. Yes, it was International Women's Day on the 8th of March. March is the month for women. March is the month where we celebrate mothers. And today, women have come together with a collective intention to choose to challenge. Are you choosing to challenge bias? Are you choosing to challenge inequality? Are you choosing to challenge that little thing within you that you don't like? We all know that when a challenge happens, when there's a challenge, a change is bound to happen. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to another edition of Let's Give It a Voice here at the Voice of Hope Media. This is the first edition for March, and this is a very special edition because we have women all around the world. We have women from South Africa, we have women from Canada, we have women from Cameroon, we have special women from Ghana, women from France and the UK. We've come together to let people hear our voices. We've come together to share our experiences about those things that we think we can change. Because the theme for International Women's Day 2021 is Choose to Challenge. You are all welcome, and thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for being with us today. Today, I am here as the host. I am AC Mbeng, and my co-host is Emiliene. And we are here with so many women. I don't even know how to count them anymore because we are so many. And I am so excited. I hope you all are as excited as I am, because today we are going to give a voice to those things that have been happening around us.
I think to connect to the Wi-Fi.
And we feel that we can challenge these things to make a change happen. There may be those things that have been bugging you in there and you have not been completely happy about them. But here at the Voice of Hope Media, we give a voice to those issues that are deemed too emotional, too sensitive, too taboo. We educate, we empower, we inspire, we give hope to individuals facing challenging and complex life issues. To be able to speak up, to speak out, knowing that they will be heard and they won't be judged and they won't be stigmatized. That's why we are here today, because we know that when we speak today, when we raise our voices today, people will listen to us and they won't judge us and they won't stigmatize us. So you are all welcome. I'll pass over to my co-host, to Emiliene, to continue.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you, Clarice. And hey, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you, phenomenal women, as we celebrate womanhood on the occasion of the International Women's Day 2021, a global day that celebrates the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women, focusing on impacting the pandemic on women and investment that can bring solutions. I am Emiliene Grace, and it's a pleasure to talk about the things that concerns women, because I can describe myself as every woman. Today, as we choose to challenge, I believe everybody on this platform have decided to join their voices and challenge something they want to see a change in. As we challenge, I also want us to celebrate sisters who are in leadership. We cannot ignore women in leadership at any level. Every level of leadership counts. But before we get into real business, I just want to say thank you, AC Mbeng. You are a very, very strong community leader, always standing the gap to give a voice to those things we deem so sensitive. Girl, keep promoting human dignity and respect. If I had a heart, I'll raise it up to you. You are doing amazing. Above all, I want to thank all the phenomenal ladies who have taken the time out today in boldness to join us and challenge certain issues, either the issues they have faced personally or the issues they have seen other women face that has been ignored for a very long time that we think needs change. If you're here with us today, it means you have decided to choose to challenge something. I totally believe every woman here has a story. Therefore, we have come here today to challenge. Personally, growing up, I have seen women not being able to take decisions about things done to their bodies. Let's think of the female genital mutilation. It's done without their consent. I have also seen us look at domestic violence as a private matter between a man and a woman, and we forget to look at it as a horrible crime. For these things and many others, Emiliene, I have chosen to challenge. I chose to challenge gender bias and other inequalities against women. I do that by bringing forth and creating agencies for such issues within the public sphere. I say this because we can't keep talking about gender-based violence and things like that without bringing the men involved. We all know a bird needs two wings to fly. It is our responsibility as individuals to speak out in order to see the change we want. I am very proud. I am a proud woman sitting here today because of you all, the phenomenal women who are ready to rise and speak out, even without blinking, about the things you want to see change. We are all passionate. Everyone on this platform has a role to play. We all have those moving stories of how we have overcome adversities. Without taking much time, I'll go straight to leadership. We can't deny the fact that there is still a large amount of disparity between women and men in our world, especially in the area of leadership. Yes, AC organized this womanhood gathering in order for us to celebrate success story and challenge certain issues, as we said earlier. AC spoke about gender-based discrimination and a lot of stereotypes that we still experience in our world. We chose to challenge. We chose to be bold and call out gender bias and inequality. We chose to see change. We chose to celebrate achievements because from challenge comes change. As we have chosen to challenge, I will go to you, Newo Belinda. I know you are into leadership, and the theme for the IWD this year It's about leadership and the pandemic. We can't deny the fact that we have seen women do and undo in order to manage their homes, work from home, and still give a voice. They have acted as caregivers, and some have acted as leaders. We can't deny the fact that if we look at the COVID-19 situations, countries that are governed by women had limited cases, but still, there is still this disparity. So to you, sister, girlfriend, if you don't mind me address you that way, what can you say about the way forward for women in leadership?
Thank you all very much. Thanks to our beautiful host, the host and the co-host. Thank you to all the phenomenal women that are part of this dialogue today. I'm very honored, very, very honored to be part of this group. You might be hearing a little bit of noise. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just take it as a background music because I can't really sort it out now. The show has to go on. So happy Women's Day, happy International Women's Day to all women out there, all young women included. The theme is Chose to Challenge. And I've chosen to challenge leadership, not in terms of looking at the male leadership. I want us to focus, I've chosen to challenge women leaders to empower other women. The fight has been on for a long time. There are little gains, but we can actually take advantage of the little gains that are there to grow as a group of women. So when I want to challenge women to support other women, to empower other women, I'm not saying we should just give positions to women and allow them in the positions whether they can do the work or not. I'm saying we should challenge women, we should give them the opportunities, and at the same time, aim for excellence. Excellence in the sense that as a woman leader, once you have the opportunity to put another woman in a position, you should make it your duty to support them intentionally so that they grow in that position. Once you support them intentionally to grow in that position, you still need to be alert so that we don't have people that will sit in for the fact that they are women in positions and not doing the jobs that they are supposed to do to grow other people. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you need to make sure that there is maturity. You understand yourself, you understand the next person, and you are able to help them. You provide them with the means. Many a time we set up women to fail so that the male counterpart can also come in and say, but you see, women can do it because we do not intentionally give that support. So you have to give them the means, the ability to see if the ability is there to do the work. But when you find out that the intent, your intent needs to be also very clear that you want to support this person. But if you see that people are not actually giving their all, then you need to actually censure. And in censoring, it means it might get to a point. Someone is doing well, actually praise them, give them the opportunity, tell them they are doing well as a woman in that position. You can also actually give them a reward in that position. But if they are not doing well, call them to order and actually censure them. You need to let someone know that, okay, this position is there for you. I've given you my support. My intent is good in making sure that you are able to deliver. But since you're not able to deliver, then I will relieve you of your duties. That is part of growing that woman. That is part of making sure that leadership is seen as something that is supportive and at the same time honest and clear. As women, we need to make sure that we complement each other, especially in positions of leadership. You find women get into positions of leadership, and whether it's often true or not, I know men have made us to believe that we have the PhD syndrome, which is another topic, a topic for a whole day, where we pull each other down. I don't believe that. We need to prove them wrong, that we will not pull each other down. That's why we have 17 of us today in this session, talking and feeling happy that we all gonna have a voice in this session. So we need to share our stories. The journey to the top is not easy, but we need to share it with others. You need to tell people, women, to know that you need to work day and night. You need to be a mother. Motherhood is even leadership more than even having a position in an office. So being a mother in a home, not having a formal or whatever job that they call it job, still makes you a great leader. We need to share our stories in our own little spaces and listen to each other, not listening to talk, but listening to hear. Often we listen to talk, and before somebody voices out anything, we want to complete the sentence. So let's try and listen to each other. We should also actually celebrate, tell our stories in a way that is not in comparison, or it's not trying to be better to another person. Telling our stories in that way as leaders, as women, will encourage others to tell their story, because actually what I've achieved might be very good for me, and what the other person has achieved might also be very good for them. We are not in any position to judge them. We need to stand up for each other. The story of going to sit back and talk about the next person, and take it to the next person. When somebody calls you, you actually say, no, let's talk this together. I'll give you an example how I handle it at the office. So I'm a gender activist. I'm a general manager of an organization called Africa Tikkun. I manage one of the centers. I have approximately 100 staff members that I work with every day. And 90% of my staff members are female. It just happens, I think, but I would not even apologize for having 90% of my staff members as females. If you get into my office to talk to me about something that someone said about me, I ask you to sit down, I pick up the phone and I call that person to come in. And we have a conversation there and we end it there. So it's not something that you come in and you tell me as a leader that this person is saying this, because there's always gonna be office gossip. This person is saying this and that, and then I'll take it home and sleep on it. No, we sort it out there, all of us. And that has stopped all the gossip at my center. So before you knock at my door and you get in and you think that you're gonna pull another person down just because you wanna be closer to me, you've gotten it wrong. That person needs to sit there and we talk it out. Yeah, we need to accept each other the way we are and open up for others to talk to us as leaders. Often, if we're not empowered ourselves, we get into these positions, we then tend to act as men. Some people tend to act as men, and then you want to prove certain things. You don't have to prove anything, you just have to lead, because we are born leaders. And so we need to be approachable. We need to make sure that we are open for other women to approach us for advice. They should not see you in the position and feel like, okay, I need to go through your secretary, I need to go through a certain person to get to you. You should be in a way that if you walk on the street, somebody meets you, they are able to stop you and talk to you. Yeah, I think we should have a network as women in leadership, like one of those that we have, and we've already created a network here. We should leverage from this and actually help each other, talk to each other, look for opportunities. There might be leaders in here who are in business, and in this space, we then need to use it to share and create opportunities for ourselves. There might be people here that are good health workers and can actually give workshops somewhere. We can actually use that opportunity. So I just want to say empowered women empower women, and leaders, us women leaders, should be empowered women who chose intentionally to empower other women. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Newo. I like that. I like all what you said. And I think this is an opportunity for us as women to reflect on the progress and impact made by the female leaders globally throughout these challenging times and even beyond. We need to be able, as you said, to inspire the new and younger generation, the female visionaries who are able to challenge and thrive against every odds, as we have been doing. We need to keep paving the way for future generations of female and male leaders, because together we'll have a balanced world. Thank you so much for that contribution. Clarice, this is getting hot. And I'll just pass over to you.
It's getting hot. I mean, I'm here, I'm almost in tears. And thank you so much, Belinda, for that brilliant discussion. Thank you. And more especially the suggestion at the end, we should create a network of women in leadership. We already have a network here. Are we going to end just here today? I say no to that. And I don't know about you. It should be a yes coming from you. And also what I picked out from Belinda is the fact that she said, empowered women empower other women. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And we are going to move to our next speaker. Emiliene, do me the honors and tell me who the next speaker is.
Femi Ayafo.
Hi, Femi. You're welcome. Let me look for hand spotlight on the screen.
Yeah.
Hi, Femi. Thank you so much. Yes.
Hi,
Femi,
everyone.
you're welcome. Femi is a sister I've known since 2002, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, you're welcome. And one of the topics, guys, which we are also looking at today, in order to choose to challenge, is the fact that the rise of women is not the fall of men. I know there are these issues out there. Each time women come together to discuss, to talk, there's a fear lingering somewhere in the minds of men. You guys calm down. We are all right. It's just because we found our voices and we want to talk. We want to be involved. We want our voices to be heard. And we also want those little things that are making us uncomfortable. We want them to be changed. We want to challenge them in order for a change to come. So each and every one of us should be the same. I know I posted today and I said, one of the things which I said, which I'm passionate about, being a special needs mom, I said, we need a seat at the table. I know there is this thing out there where a mother of a special needs child, she's usually boxed in one corner. We need a seat at each table. And whenever that table is not available, we create our own table. And even if there's a table and we don't have a space to feed in, we come along with a folding chair and we feed in. Because each and every one of us here, we have a voice, we have something to say. That's why I said a few days ago, I choose, as a special needs mom, I choose to challenge that isolation that comes with parenting special needs children. How do I challenge this? I challenge this by creating more time for self-care, because self-care is not a luxury. Self-care is a necessity. I choose to challenge that fear of going out there to seek help. If I know I'm struggling with my mental health, I challenge that fear of going out there because I am afraid of what people will say, that I'm struggling with my mental health. So I'm choosing to challenge that fear. So now, today, I am going to pass on the mic to our sister Femi Ayafo. She's all the way from Canada, and you are going to tell us what you choose to challenge as far as the rise of the woman is not the fall of the man. Over to you, my dear.
All right, thank you so much, Clarice. Yeah, like you rightly mentioned, we've known each other for quite a very long time. We had our weddings 1 week apart, and and we worked in the same office next to each other, basically. So I'm really, really happy to be part of this group, happy to be able to connect with other people and forming that network, which hopefully doesn't end with just us being on Zoom, and also progressing. So for today, I chose to challenge the pressure and expectation that comes with women having to keep everything together. So they have that pressure of keeping their home together, keeping their husband happy, keeping their job, providing for the family. And to challenge that, I'll just, in my own opinion, explain what I feel is the rise of a woman. So I look at it more as a demand for an equal opportunity instead of a dominating factor of the woman wanting to be over the man, like the men would normally look at it. So if we just go back to the basics of what opportunity is, we look at the definition, it's a set of circumstances that makes it possible for someone to do something. And if you look at other definitions in other dictionaries, it's a good chance of advancement. So which means I should also have that chance to advance if I wanted to. And then if we look at the etymology of the word itself, it comes from a Latin word opportunitat, which means convenient. So it's not only the opportunity that I'm given, that opportunity has to also be convenient. And that is where us women, we come in, because it's not just I want equal opportunity. Okay, I want to do what a man does. No, it has to be convenient for me as well. And I'll just give a little example, like when we talk about convenience, I was talking to someone the other day, and she said she was a manager of a company. And when she came in, the first thing she saw was the circumstances did not permit women who had babies to do their jobs, even if they wanted to come with their kids to work. So in order to put the point across, what she did was just tell 4 or 5 women, oh, you come with your baby with a carrier, without telling anybody what she wanted to do. And so she gets into the shop, and then she's like, oh, lady, please, can you take this baby to the toilet? I need this child to go to the toilet. And no sooner had they started going before they realized the space was too small to pass, which meant they have given you the opportunity. They say you can come to work with your baby, you can be free, but the circumstances don't permit you to do that job, even with that opportunity. So it has to be the circumstance, and then it has to be convenient. So rising of women, for me, I see it more as women being vocal about things that already existed, women bridging gender gaps, whether it be in areas of education, in work, and women moving forward. And not just moving forward, but moving forward decisively. So you deliberately and decide, I'm going to move forward. Now, for all to happen, you need the opportunity, which is the set of circumstances, and those set of circumstances have to be convenient. Now, how do we create those set of circumstances? So we can do that by putting and implementing rules in place to avoid discrimination by race, by gender. And I always like to say it is not just about rules, others putting rules. I think we as women are our own advocates. So the rules are there, but those rules have to be implemented, and those rules have to work for us as well. So the next thing as women that we need to do is to change our mindset. Because sometimes we get into those situations because of our mindset. You grow up knowing that, oh, you are a woman. You need to take care of your husband. You need to keep your house together. You need to cook food. Like they normally say, your husband is your first baby. Now, who takes care of you? What are you? Taking care of the husband, taking care of the children, and then working in the meantime. The next thing that we need to do also is kind of go against those stereotypes which have defined where our place is. Your place is in the kitchen. This is what a woman is supposed to do. We have to get away from those stereotypes. And we need to also advocate for flexible working hours, because we know that as women, we can do the work. If we have a flexible working hour, which allows us to do it when it's convenient, so we have the opportunity, we have the convenience, we will also do our jobs, and sometimes even better. Then we don't have the situation where we are forced to make choices between, for example, starting a family and working in a profession that you like, because you're afraid you're not going to get the opportunity, is not going to present itself in a way that will be convenient. Where do you keep your baby? How do you manage your housework and then your professional career at the same time? So for me, I think that as women, we need to create our set of circumstances which permit us to get those opportunities that we need. And we need to make it convenient for us as well. And like Clarice rightly said in the beginning, we should not be afraid to seek help. If we feel overwhelmed, even in those circumstances we have created, even in those areas where we feel that we're doing well, we should not be afraid to reach out to somebody, reach out to a friend and say, I am overwhelmed. What should I do? Last but not the least, we have to be more assertive and very clear on what we want. We should never take it for granted that everyone assumes, okay, I'm looking for an equal opportunity. This is necessarily what they will think you want. So you have to be clear about what you want and also be assertive and make sure you get what you want. And to crown it all, we need a lot of self-love and care. And we can, as women, do that to each other. Sometimes just by checking on a sister, sometimes just by calling for somebody and just chatting away and encouraging us in our different ventures. So that's what I have for my challenge today.
Over to you, Emiliene. Bravo, well done, sister.
You said it all, you said it all. Equal opportunity. It needs to be convenient. We need to be vocal. That's why we don't take this program for granted. We need to speak out. If you don't speak, you will not be heard. If you want to see change happen, then you have to speak out. Yes, Clarice, remember we are celebrating the International Women's Day 2021. And I just want to say happy International Women's Day to every woman. Peace and love. You can be a female as you describe yourself or non-binary, but we say peace and love to anybody who identify themselves as a woman. Women Day, it means everything. It means different thing to different people. personally, sometimes as we celebrate the day, my heart goes out to those women who suffer a lot because of their gender, because of what they have chosen. They are not given the same rights. We can't deny the fact. They are not given the same rights as men if they think they were born in the different body. Everybody has a right. We need to stop the stereotype. We all know even transgender women are not even given the same right as the said women. We still have a very long way to go. So I'll go to one of us, Kiki Brandy.
Oh, hi. Hello.
Hi, girl. Good to
Hi,
have
thank
you
you.
on board.
Thank you very much for the
I love
intro.
your glasses. You look
Thank
so
you.
fly.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my
What
name
are
is,
you challenging? What do you choose to challenge, Kiki Brandy?
it's Bandy to see that. Yeah, I spoke to Clarence about the whole brand name and all that. So initially I had something else to challenge, completely different. But after listening to other women speak, you know, I don't know, was it, sorry, I'm just checking my notes as well. Is Neil spoke first, and then there was the lady who spoke after me. I've changed the whole composition of what I have to say today. So my name is Kiki. I am an entrepreneur as well as an LGBTQ activist. Initially I choose to challenge homophobia and composing homosexuality in spaces of space, you know. And now, personally now, I'm choosing to challenge women to support other women, regardless of their gender, sexuality, and the rest of it. So I've listened to especially the previous speaker before me. He spoke about keeping husbands happy, you know, and she did also speak about discrimination based on race and gender. Now, what I didn't hear and what I wanted to hear was discrimination based on sexuality, because sometimes it's difficult to be very inclusive of women who are not gender necessarily homosexual. They're sexuals. You understand? Sometimes we tend to talking about compulsory homosexuality. We tend to address a crowd as if everybody there is heterosexual. But I want to challenge that today. I want to say that if you're speaking to a group of women, if you're speaking to women who are empowered, who are doing different things, you have to be sure, or you have to at least acknowledge women who don't necessarily sleep with men or homosexuals or gender non-conforming women as well. You understand? And then again, that's why I changed my whole composition of what I wanted to say today. And initially, the poster as well said talking about the struggles of a queer woman and how I navigate my life as a queer woman as well. But let me just talk about it briefly. But some of the struggles as a queer woman is being in spaces like this where women speak about other women and they don't necessarily include queer women. I think the previous speakers have spoken about female mutilation, they're talking about domestic violence, but they haven't spoken about homophobia. They have also, sorry, just go a few things down. They've also spoken about the seat on the table. But the seat on the table doesn't, we have to be inclusive of queer women, you know, and my previous speaker, I don't know if it was the one now or the one before that, she said empower women, empower other women. And we didn't talk about queer women, you know. So generally, I found that even in spaces where women are pro-women, they find that my struggle as a queer woman is personal to me rather than inclusive of the whole movement about empowering men and all that. I feel like I should struggle alone rather than struggle with other women. You understand? So again, going back to what I told you today, it's all about we have to be inclusive when it comes to women empowering. We have to know that women having a voice must be inclusive of queer women. You understand? We have to know that other women having a voice doesn't exclude queer women, you know. And obviously, again, going back to what I want to speak to today, generally as a queer woman, I find that I experience a lot of mental abuse from women as well as men, you know, homophobia and all that. It's very mentally draining. The other part of obviously the challenges of being a queer woman is parenthood, being able to decide what spending is right for me, and obviously financing the whole thing, maybe IVF or other stuff, is also very draining as well. And the other challenge as well is obviously being in spaces such as this, where people just assume that every woman in the space is heterosexual, rather than meaning that women are homosexuals. And the language has to reflect the women in the group or the women within the space, if that makes sense. So, sorry, change everything to this. So yeah, so that's just generally been the whole vibe and the whole experience from the previous speakers. And yeah, just to say that I am queer. My pronouns are her and she. And sometimes, even when you speak in spaces such as this, the women who don't necessarily identify with men, who doesn't necessarily have husbands, they have wives. So we should use language as inclusive of these women. We should be able to engage with them through employment. I think the previous speaker before me spoke about her having a lot of women, you know, within her company or under her management and all that. So we should be able to identify those differences. We should be able not just to assume compulsive homosexuality again, because it's really, really draining. Again, I express something else for this conversation, but I was just like, you know what, Kiki, change this. People are, you know, I'm not hearing queer women. I'm not hearing about wives, you know. I'm not hearing about non-binary with the host introducing non-binary women and all that. I'm not hearing that. So maybe we should emphasize on that. We shouldn't assume, again, that everybody within this space is homosexual, heterosexual, sorry. Yeah, and that's it.
Emiliene, over to you.
Thank you, Kiki. That was spot on. We'll drift a little bit. We'll go to AC.
Yeah.
Are you ready for prayer?
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Just before I go to prayer. Yes. All the points Kiki has mentioned, all taken into consideration. Yes, oftentimes as a parent of a special needs child, I usually feel isolated. I usually feel I'm not being involved. So I kind of understand what Kiki's point, that we have to be inclusive of every woman, whether you're a queer woman or you're a straight woman or transgender woman. We have to, even in our language and in our actions as well. One of the reasons I really wanted Kiki to be on this show is because I've had messages in my inbox. I'm not happy with you because you are commenting on Kiki's platform. You have to know that this is not our culture. This is what people have been approaching me, telling me. But I've never seen Kiki like somebody different, because I know whether you are queer or you have a disability or whatever, you are not less of a human being. And when she posted about this event, I commented that as queens, we are together. Someone wrote a message, oh, AC, I didn't see queen up there. I saw queer. Is queer the same as queen? My simple answer was, every woman is queen. Whether she is queer or she's not, we are all queens. So thank you so much, Kiki, for agreeing to share your story today, to be a voice to the LGBT community today. Thank you so much. And moving over, I think we will be coming for, I think we will have questions, the question and answer sessions in the end. There are people who obviously want to ask you some questions, Kiki, and we like to move on to our next speaker, who is Priya Brown. Priya, thank you so much for accepting to be part of this event today. It's really a privilege. And I know you are going to talk about the rise of the woman is not the fault of a man, and what are you choosing to challenge as far as this is concerned. So over to you.
Thank you so much, AC. It's amazing to be here and to be in the presence of some amazing women as well. You're all so strong. It's just so empowering to hear everyone's story. And I guess, you know, the obvious thing is that I am here to talk about equality and my perspective as well, I suppose, being a British Asian. I mean, first of all, I really ought to say that I wish you happy International Women's Day, you know, to each and every one of us. And that's for anyone, gender regardless, you know, it's a great day to be celebrating, a great theme to be celebrating. All of our achievements and how much work there is still to be done as well, to recognize that, to take away those barriers that we've all talked about already so far. So I am married and I have 2 boys. They are mixed race. My background is also mixed, and I guess that's really my inspiration, my family. You know, like I have experienced a very traditional side of Asian culture, and then I've also have the experience of the opposite end, where it's completely liberal and island culture, and being Mauritian, you get the complete flip side to what North Indian culture is all about. But both my parents moved to Basingstoke. My dad was actually brought up in Birmingham after he moved from Kenya, and my mum was she came in for the NHS recruitment drive in the 70s. So both in nursing, and they met here in Basingstoke. And family-wise, because my dad chose to fall in love with my mum and pursue her and marry her, he was outcasted, you know, so we had no family here basically. And my point is that I grew up with a family completely made up of strangers, you know, family made up of of strangers around us that we got to know and they became more than blood. They became our family like this. They became our friends, our lifelong friends. They were West Indian, they were Filipino, they were Malaysian, they were Singaporean, they were English, they were Irish, they were from all over the world. And I guess having that experience really means that I grew up challenging a lot of cultural backgrounds and concepts that held back women, you know, and held back particularly women of colour. And having had that experience, you know, I really do have that belief that we choose to challenge the things that we don't know sometimes as well, because we only know what we know what we don't know what we don't know, you know. Have that perspective, you know, see things in other people's point of view as well. And that's really important because it helps us to understand, it helps us to support, it helps us to empathize, and it helps us to push forward and break those barriers. I'm self-employed, I'm a marketing consultant. I'm also a trustee with Kala the Arts, and they are a South Asian dance company, but they are also an arts and education charity. I'm the co-chair of our PTA at school for my children. And this is, you know, again, I'm talking about some of the volunteering work that I do, because it's really important for me to give back, to be part of the community, to be involved with my community, and to understand other people's lived experiences as well as my own. It keeps my perspective real, I suppose. I'm also the founder of Boss Mamas, which is a local mums and business support group. and we meet monthly, and again it's about building up each other, supporting each other to juggle life and work and all the other things that we've talked about so far. Particularly being women, we juggle a lot of plates. We're not just working or being a mum, we're also being a wife, a daughter, a carer, and so many other things. The list goes on. And last but not least, I'm also the local elections candidate for the Women's Equality Party here in the UK. So in Basingstoke, we have our local elections coming up, and I'm running for one of the local election seats. And I think that we can truly make a difference and hold people to account. Recognize, you know, that women are fellow human beings. Nothing different. There's nothing to be scared of. There should be no fear about this. We're not rising to see the fall of man with this, you know, this misconcept. It's not doing us any favors. Like, we don't want to hold each other back. We shouldn't be holding each other back. We shouldn't be, and when I'm talking about we, I mean men and women, you know. It's really important that we recognize the achievements of the women before us and the women that are ahead of us, our future generations. We should treat them equal. We are equal in the eyes of our creators. If you are that way inclined with religion or faith, you know, we are all born equal. We are not pigeonholed into what we can and cannot do at birth. And so we shouldn't be going forward as we get older. And I choose to challenge inequality. The law we have in the UK, the Equality Act, and I'm just going to really quickly read this out. Okay, we have the Equality Act, which legally protects people from discrimination in the workplace and in wider society. And that law protects against 9 characteristics, right? Those characteristics are age, disability, gender reassignment, race, religion or belief, sex, sexual orientation, marriage, civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity. And yet we have today so many inequalities happening, you know. Women are paid less in the workplace. Women have had to bear the brunt of care and responsibility. Women are assumed, particularly women of colour, that we have a higher pain threshold. There are health inequalities here. We're talking about the inequalities in our financial control and our financial gains, our pensions. Why do we have these differences? Why are these characteristics really not protected still? And I really choose to challenge that. I want to see more women in positions of power. I want to see more representation for this country as a multicultural and diverse country. I want to see, you know, we've only had two in the history of the UK, right, of female prime ministers. We've had Theresa May and we've had Margaret Thatcher. I mean, fair enough, they're both conservatives, and that's absolutely fine, regardless of politics. I'm so glad that they are up there to show, you know, that women can achieve those positions, and why not? But why not one of us? Why not someone who looks like me or you? Why not someone who doesn't have access to a privileged education, you know? So really, yeah, I want to just say, like, look, you know, we must be that change that we want to be. That we want to see, taking the words of Gandhi. I wanted us to feel that we can challenge without fear, because that's hard. It's hard as women, having had the inherent ideologies ingrained in societies all over the world, you know, that women cannot talk, women should not be seen, women should not be heard, right? We should be able to challenge without fear. We come together, we build our villages, our support systems, our support networks. We can hold each other up, and there's absolutely nothing holding us back. And the lady before us, Noah, I want to say, she had it correct, you know, empowered women empower women, and it is absolutely 100% correct. build that village, like I say, don't hold each other back. I've had experiences of that before. And even this week on International Women's Day, I was at a fantastic panel event, and we're women talking about equality, women talking about access and representation, and yet I was challenged for having never been experienced in a particular area. How could I possibly know? That's not building up, that's holding someone back. Break down those barriers. We're women, we're here to support each other. Let's do that for each other, regardless of our backgrounds. I also want to make sure as well that we won't be silenced. Nothing should be silenced as women, no amount of violence, domestic violence, shouldn't exist. We should be allowed to be able to be free, walk safely at nighttime, walk with confidence in our jobs, feel empowered as mothers and wives. And I want us to rise together, because united we stand, divided we fall. And there are some fantastic projects and works going on across the country, across the world, and we must make sure we embrace that as women to support others as well, whether they are male or female or in between or not. It's, find those organizations, do everything you can to support them, because together we can overcome inequality in the world. So yeah, that's me. I probably went off in too many tangents, but you know what? It's just so fantastic to be able to say this and to feel comfortable to say this. So thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And I'm just so glad to be able to share in this company here tonight, because it's infectious. Thank you for bringing us together, Emiliene and Clarice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priya. Thank you so much. Take home message is build that village. It takes a village, but let's build that village. And Priya says we choose. We have to choose to challenge the things we don't know. Sometimes the things we do not understand, sometimes we choose to challenge. We live in a culturally diverse country, which talks about equality acts here and there. But like you said, how much equality is out there? How often have women had to step back, or to take less paid jobs, or to take few hours at work because they are juggling house chores, family, and they still want to balance, to make everything balance. Thank you so much, Priya. So there are so many questions coming up. There's a lot of questions, food for thought here for each and every one of us to look within, look deep, dig deep within you and see what is the thing that you really wish to challenge. We must be the change we want to see, and we must be able to challenge without fear. And once we find our voice, we should not be silenced at all. Thank you so much once more. Emiliene, over to you for our next speaker.
Yes, Clarice, as you said, we must be the change we want to see. I picked up also something from Priya, and she said, we don't know what we don't know. And we all agree, when we know, we'll do better. So thank you for bringing that up. I will go to Ivy B. Ngwa of Ivy Rose Corner. But today, Ivy girl, I'm just taking you out of your comfort zone. I know if I wake you up with a question about empowerment and mindset, girl, we're gonna sleep here tonight. So today I'm taking you out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
So Ivy, I know you work in a male-dominated job, and we all know in today's world, women's job growth is driven by employment in male-dominated fields. What are those challenges you face in your job environment and more?
Before I say anything, let me just say hello to everyone, and thank you, Clarice and Emiliene, for putting this together. I really do appreciate, a room full of women, and just doing our thing. It's really amazing. And I feel so privileged to be part of this tonight.
before I even talk about, you know, going about being in a male dominated role, I think that Priya said something that really stood out for me. And that was, we don't know what we don't know. Ignorance is no longer bliss. It isn't. And, you know, it is really important that as women, we educate ourselves, not just in the things that, you know, in every other thing, but in the things that have to do with work and with the opportunities that we should be taking as women, and in what we deserve as well as women. So working in a male dominated role, I think there is the misconception that as a woman, when you are in a role that is, you know, male dominated, you have to put on, you know, a certain persona to be able to cause the change or the influence that you have to bring to that organization. And we as women, we are leaders in our own right. And it doesn't matter what level of leadership you have. So we have to, first of all, as women, educate ourselves on those leadership aspects that we have and bring out those leadership aspects, which goes back to the fact that we have to find that inner freedom to voice out, to find our voice and voice those deepest desires and wishes that we have. So, you know, as a woman of color myself, I don't just work in a role where there are, you know, it is more males than women. I am the only woman of color at my place of work. And it can be a very lonely place sometimes. And I even mean most of the times it can be a very lonely place because no one seems to understand me as a woman of color in at my place of work. You know, there are times where I break out dancing because I am overjoyed about something, and people do not really understand that that is her way of celebrating, you know. And I think if you are a woman and you find yourself in a place where you are in a male dominated role, the first thing is to find a support system. It is really important to find a support system. And that support system would require for you to still find your voice, to be able to ask for that support and see through that you get the support that you need. Then a second thing for me is whether you are a woman or you are a man in a male dominated role, doesn't matter. You're there to serve. At the end of the day, I am there to do a job and I'm there to serve. So it comes back to one of the speakers mentioned about the mindset around, you know, us being women, or the mindset of women and the things that we have to challenge. We as women, we first of all have to challenge. The challenge starts with us. It starts with us challenging our mindsets about the things that we face on a day-to-day basis, about the fear that Priya talked about. There is a lot of fear-based kind of way of working because of the conditioning that the society and and our cultural backgrounds and the media and everything has put on us as women. And we need to start challenging that. We need to develop the mindset that I'm afraid because everyone feels fear. I will feel fear and I'll still do it. Even though I feel the fear, I will still go ahead and do it. I will still go ahead and demand for my rights at work. I will still go ahead and ask for that pay rise and ask for the things that I truly deserve, like my male counterparts, without wavering, whether I feel that fear or not, because we need to work on our own mindsets to tell those fear stories, to work on those fear stories, to put away those fear stories and start to stand in our own power, because we are powerful women. We are powerful people on the inside. As human beings, we are equally as powerful. And I don't mean physical strength. I mean the other type of strength, whether be it mental strength or be it whatever. But we need to work on our mindset so that we can stand and ask for the things that we truly, truly deserve. Also, there's another thing. As women, I don't need to be masculine to be able to do my job. I can be feminine. I can dress in my stilettos. I can wear a dress. I can choose to wear a pant or trousers. I can dress whatever way I want to dress as long as it's decent and in accordance with the ethics of my workplace. And I can come to work. I can put up my lipstick and come to work and still do a good job. All of that does not change the fact that I am trained to do the job that I am doing. And if there are aspects of that job that I cannot do, then I still need to work on my mindset to go and find, training or to seek out knowledge to develop that growth mindset so that I can keep on growing in that job. If I want to cry as a woman because I am an emotional person, if I want to cry because of something that happened at my job, it does not take my know-how away in any aspect, in any way. It doesn't. So I need to, as a woman, embrace my femininity, if that is what I choose to embrace, and still be able to stand at my place of work, be it a male-dominated role or not, and still do my job, knowing that I am a woman. I love and I respect myself as a woman, and I will still do my job. So for me, I choose to challenge any stereotypes about me being a woman and being able to do a job in a male-dominated role.
Wow, Ivy, I would say go for what you think you can do. And I tell you, you are doing it. You are a real leader. From all what you have said, I picked one thing. Every person is born with the seed of a leader. Every person is born with the seed of leadership.
And can I just say that, I did say that I'm Ivy. I am a mindset and empowerment coach for women. I coach women to embrace, first of all, to find that inner freedom, the self-assuredness to stand in their power so that they can go on to achieve anything whatsoever they put their minds to. That is the work that I do. I'm also an educator, and I work in a school with young people as well, for whom I absolutely also enjoy. So yeah.
Wow, you are truly a woman in leadership because you believe in collaborating and supporting one another. You spoke about boundaries. You spoke about your sanity. You spoke about trusting your voice and owning your power. I think as a woman, we all must be able to wear our feminine energy. We have to do that. You have to see yourself and remind yourself that you matter. You can do it. You have to wear many hats if you can wear it. Always dream, look forward and dream big. Thank you, Ivy, for joining your voice to challenge.
Thank you for having me today. And I do appreciate you guys for putting this together. And every other woman who is on here, I really do appreciate you all.
Thank you so much.
Ivy.
Thank you so much,
Sorry.
Ivy. That was brilliant. And one thing I picked from there is embrace. As a woman, we have to embrace our femininity, right?
There
You
is strength in it.
Yeah, there is. You don't have to act like a man to do the job that you've been trained to do. You can still be in your stilettos. You can still be in your 6-inch, even 10 inches, and still capable of doing that job. So there we go.
Can I just chime in a bit?
Thank you so much.
When you talk about acting like a man to fulfill a certain job,
Yeah.
some women feel more comfortable as a masculine woman.
All right.
So we have to be very careful again with language again.
Mhm.
Not just alienating those women who are more comfortable in sweatpants and t-shirts, makeup. We have to be very inclusive.
Absolutely, Kiki. I did mention about the choice. If you want to make that choice, it's about choice, isn't it? If you want to make that choice to wear pants and trousers and stilettos and whatever way you want to act, it doesn't take away that power from you as a woman still. You show up just like you want to show up and still do a job, because at the end of the day, it is the training, it is not you.
Exactly.
It's the training that you're trained to do the job. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Generally well spoken, honestly, well spoken. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Just for more information, questions and answers, question and answer sessions will be coming up at the end of the presentations, when each person would have spoken. So yeah, our next guest speaker is Stacey Hart. And Stacey, you're welcome today, and thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this event today. Yes, until you were part of the group, and then we were discussing the topics, and then you said you are going to share your experiences as a queer woman. You're going to share your challenges, and you're going to choose to challenge that. So thank you so much for choosing to challenge that and to talk about it today. So over to you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to you, Emiliene and AC, for organising this, and to all of you for being here and sharing this platform. It's a real honour and a privilege to be here. Yeah, I'm Stacey. My name is Stacey Hart, and I'm the leader of the Basingstoke branch of the Women's Equality Party. So yeah, vote Priya Brown for East Strophan Grove in May. And if you're in Basingstoke and you want to get involved, let us know. We're at WEP Basingstoke on Facebook, and I'm sure you can find us. And I love what someone said earlier, I think it was Noah, about making a network here amongst these amazing women, and I'm hoping, guys, Emiliene and AC, that you'll like swap all of our networking details afterwards, because that would be really incredible. So yeah. Moving on, I've openly identified as bisexual for about a decade, I think. I wasn't exactly closeted before, but I'm a woman married to a man, so there's an assumption of straightness there. So I kind of might as well have been. I have a huge amount of privilege in that I have never suffered from the blatant discrimination that comes from being noticeably queer. So until the last few years, I've never really thought of myself as having challenges to face because of my queerness. And while I still acknowledge that privilege that I have come to realize more recently the harm that has been done by the challenges that I faced as a semi-closeted or unacknowledged bisexual woman. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Section 28, which some of you or all of you may know was the law in this country from 1988 till 2003 in England. It was a law that said that the promotion of homosexuality in schools particularly was illegal. Specifically, it said the acceptability of homosexuality as a pretended family relationship. I don't think I need to say anything about how disgusting that language is now. I left school in 1995, so whilst I'm 41 now, and I think a relatively young living one in that I'm still appalling in the way I behave, I don't feel particularly old. And when I grew up and I learned about Section 28, it kind of seemed to me something that affected people that came before me, people who kind of were already adults and already having sexual relationships in the 80s and things like that, and it didn't really apply to me. But what I kind of realized is that it did affect me, because when I was at school, I never learned who I was. I never learned about anyone who thought like me or was like me, and I didn't know anyone else like me. So I also, of course, I still like boys. So when I spoke to my mum about it, she told me what all well-meaning, really wonderful parents told their kids at that time, which was that don't worry about it, it's a phase. Everyone goes through this. And that very, very well-meaning, well-intentioned advice had the effect of not encouraging me to explore that side of myself. I thought it was something that I went through that was like acne or or anger issues that you went through at puberty, and it was to be kind of put aside and don't worry about it and it will go away. Now, when I grew older and I was a younger woman, I learned that it was, you know, kind of a good thing, encouraged in fact, in the mid-90s to snog girls at parties, because it was understood that you were doing it for the guys' benefit. Yeah, you know, you were doing it as a show, right? But like true bisexuality, to explore relationships with men, women, or non-binary people, was seen as being greedy or indecisive. And that is what we mean now when we talk about biphobia. My feminist journey has led me now to really righteous anger over the things that were denied to me because of that blindness. And what really gets me now is that we still have it. That prejudice, that hangover of Section 28 still exists. And LGBTQI plus people kids are going to miss out on those experiences and those journeys that, you know, people of my generation missed out on, because we are still not including that stuff properly in our curriculum. So when I started feminist activism, all that work started to creep into my conversation more and more. And then I stopped talking about it because I didn't want to become an equality bore. And I started to worry that people wouldn't like me anymore. And the same thing applies for my talking about liking women. It's not a necessity in my life as a woman married to a man to mention it unless asked a direct question. So I always felt this awkwardness, this worry that came from the biphobia that I experienced, that people would think that I was doing it to be trendy or to get attention whenever I wanted to challenge that straight assumption about myself in conversation. So here is my challenge. This is the end part. I realized that there is just too much damn work to do for those sorts of worries to take my precious energy and focus. Those worries are not genuine. They are ones bred into me by a society that would prefer to ignore injustice and be comfortable. So alongside the patriarchy and social injustice and homophobia and racism and all the things that I hope and believe I try to challenge every day, on this particular International Women's Day, I choose to challenge my own apologies and awkwardness. I choose to challenge the, oh, I'm sorry, but socialized impulse that I have to say, I'm sorry, but, you know, I just want to talk about this. And that impulse that I have in conversation to apologize when I'm either speaking about my activism work, or that impulse that I have to feel the worry that I have that I feel like I'm trend setting when I'm talking about my sexuality. So I choose to be unapologetic about that this year. And if people find me repetitive or boring or signally, then they know that they can stop listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stacey. That was powerful. I think we all need to be original and be authentic about the things we do. And as we said at the beginning, we are wishing peace and love to anybody who identify themselves as a female or non-binary. So this networking, and we are okay, every voice count. Your gender doesn't make you less of a woman. It all boils down to the personal choices we make. Clarice, you have a comment on what Stacey said?
Yes, I'm right here. I quite enjoyed the comment she said when she opened up to her mom. Her mom said, "Don't worry about it. It is a phase." Yes, and that is some of the things we will expect from most moms. Instead of being bashed or beaten or sent away, you listen to them and you assure them, because you may not know exactly what may have made them to feel the way or do the things that they are doing, but telling your child that don't worry, it is a phase you are going through, I think that is brilliant. And thank you so much, Stacey, for sharing your experiences with us. And we choose to challenge. We stand together on this International Women's Day 2021. So, Emiliene, are you bringing in your next speaker?
Yes, I will. And Stacey also just reminded us about parenting. It's about being in a relationship with your child. So I think her mom was doing a great job to listen to her. Yeah. The next speaker is Queen Bell. Hi, Queen.
Hi, Queens.
Good to
I'm
have
happy to be
today.
with you guys today. It's like, I don't know, it's amazing to be on a platform with so many queens. Stacey, Belinda, I've been listening. I was caught up somewhere, but I managed to make it on time. So how are you today? Happy International Women's Day. I think we are celebrating the 110th anniversary.
Oh.
Yeah, because the first one was in 1911.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know how old International Women.
I made some research.
That's good. Thank you so much. So over to you, Queen Bell.
Okay. On this day, I choose to challenge that the rise of women does not mean the fall or the end of man, of men. You know, I just want to go back as far back as the 18th, you know, like you take, for example, those of you who are in the UK, you know the story of Florence Nightingale. She is the one who led the official team of the British military during the Crimean War. We're talking of I think 1853, the Crimean War. I love European history, so at least I went back to that. You see, this was a woman, we're talking of 1853. She led the medical team, you know. So if a man tells me that a woman, the rise of a woman, it's making a man fall, we are born leaders. I'm sorry. We need to tell them, they know that. But you know, the problem is, like, as I say, the problem is this 21st century, we are trying to dismantle that institutionalized patriarchy, which makes us decrease our tolerance in so many things that women used to take before. I think for me, that is it. It's not really that we are challenging. It's not their downfall. The man has not, you know, like, he's not finished. He's not finished because we can see, despite all that, we still face barriers as women. Without women, there's so many things we couldn't achieve. Marie Curie, born in 1867, pioneer the scientist who created we talk about the science of radioactivity. We're talking in the 18th. You know what I mean? And then we come back to our famous Rosa Parks, who challenged the race segregation. We're talking about women. Can you imagine the influence that women have been having across the years? So we're talking about almost 200 years. That in the I think that was 17th century, right? That was the 17th century. So for me, today, it has nothing. It's just a social change. It's a social change because women earn more college degrees today than men. You agree with me? Go to the faculties. If you have 100 students in class, you have about 70 who are female. It will shock you. I'll just tell you some story that happened in 2000. I was in Cameroon 2019, attending a graduation in one of these higher institutions. And the guy who was like how do you call him? He was the first of the previous promotion. He had to talk to the colleagues. And I was scandalized when I heard him say all his female colleagues should go and get married. They were just graduating with their degrees. It was a professional, you know, like they were graduating from a professional school. How scandalous will that be for you as my brother or my, you know, my husband, to tell me that I have to be married So it means my degree is not worth anything, you know. So the men are scared of this social change because that's the biggest problem. Take an example in a house where a woman earns more than the man in terms of salary. Do you see them? You know, like the problem is like, for me, I look at it as it's more income into the family, but the men look at it as a challenge. They're praying day and night. That's the only opportunity when a man prays. He prays that he should get a job so he can earn more than the wife, so that his manhood comes back. Excuse me, brothers, you are our allies. There's nothing to challenge about. We are not on top of you. We are rising because we've been leaders. We just let you do things, but we realize that you people are not doing it properly. You guys are not doing properly. That's why we are rising despite all the barriers that we meet. There's a lot of challenges that we meet because we are women. Somebody will just tell you, Belinda was talking about leadership, the way we do it. Sometimes, you know, like as I always say, leadership is not a position. No, it's the way you operate. Leaders emerge. Leaders are not born. I can take, for example, yeah, we have you have Clarice. I've met you guys. I've not met you physically, but the way you do things, you know, like the way you integrate people in your activities. This is what we are talking about. Women coming together to rise, to remain up there, to remember that we have always been there, but we let the men, because, okay, they're our first sons. We bet them, isn't it? So why won't we make them fall? They are our allies. So for me, I think I want to say the fact that today we saw our sister the American Harris, Camilla, I don't get her name so well, Harris. She is today the VP of the US. But despite that, people still don't believe in women. This is a woman. You think the husband is complex because she's the vice president? No, on the contrary, she had his support. This is what we're asking from our men, from our brothers, from our sons, from our parents. Some of us, our parents raised us without, you know, like without these stereotypes. That is why, you know, like, as I said, gender equality is so complex, but it is misconstrued because people think that you, a woman, having the opportunity to excel is wanting to stand on top of a man's head. No, it's giving me the same opportunity. If I want to become a footballer or a soccer player, give me the same opportunity like a man. This is what we are asking. We're not trying to overtake you. We've always been up there. I'm sorry. We've always been up there. So for me, the rise of women is just something we are taking back. It's not that we want the men to fall. So I want to thank you for this wonderful platform. And together, we are going to create a she village. Thank you so much. And my brothers, you are our allies in this. We're not going to abandon you. We're not going to trample on you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Queen Belle. I think I'll just say we are running out of time, and I'll say Belle is allergic to inequality and all the adversities women face. Thank you, Belle, for picking up this. We know how much you invested, and I was surprised that you respected 5 minutes. I was a little bit scared because I know when you're talking about women and gender,
I need to respect the time. I'm not alone. We are a full panel, and I want everybody to talk. You know, we talk for Africa when it comes to gender.
That's leadership. Thank you, sister. Clarice, over to you. I think the next speaker is Naya. You're muted, girl.
I'm back. Thank you so much, Sister Belle, for your brilliant discussion. And Emiliene, be very careful. We know how passionate our Sister Belle is when it comes to women issues. when it comes to things that concern rape and inequalities in our community, Belle can talk, and you will see the passion coming out of every bit of her body. Thank you so much. And that's one of the reasons we had to have you here today. And moving on to our next speaker, Naya Ndefru. Naya, she's coming in from the US, and Naya is going to speak to us about what her challenges are when she worked in a role that's regarded as a male-dominated role. So I'll bring her on. So Naya, you're welcome. Let me trace where she is. Where are you, girl?
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me spotlight you. She's missing.
I'm here. Can you see me?
I'm looking. Yeah, you are. Welcome. Thank you so much. And over to you, my dear. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Queen. Thank you, Emiliene. Thank you to all the panelists. I appreciate this opportunity. Happy International Women's Day. A little bit about my background. I've worked in a lot of, I guess people would say, male-dominated fields. I was in the military, the United States Army, on active duty for 6 years. I transitioned out of the military, did some work in the hospitals for a number of years, and then transitioned into a consulting role where I was traveling internationally, doing healthcare and capacity building work in Africa and in Asia. So both of those roles are very heavily male driven. And lastly, I have transitioned a lot of my experience as a scientist into challenging beauty standards through a makeup line, which I created and founded, called Zolani Beauty. So I'm going to backtrack and just talk about my experience in the military. I joined the military when I was 20 years old and was there till I was 26. I loved my experience. However, a lot of the challenges, as people may think, came from my body type. I am an African woman, and in the United States Army, you know, we got to do a lot of physical exercising. And a lot of my military experience was wonderful. You know, I learned a lot about leadership, a lot about service, a lot about diversity, inclusion, and, you know, a lot of it was incredible. But my biggest challenge was always about my body. I was never, well, just traditionally, just telling my story. You know, I'm, like I said, I'm an African woman, so I have big boobs and big hips. So I never fit within the standard military sizing. Okay, so I was always considered big, even if I was a size 6. So on a mental, on the mental forefront, I suffered a lot. I had some eating disorders because I always wanted to fit into the mold. I know I was considering breast reduction surgery. I considered all types of body altering surgeries so I could fit within a certain mold. Fortunately, the military is also very supportive, I would say, of women rising, but that comes at the cost of you asking. And this year, I choose to challenge those of us who have chosen to stay behind and not ask for what we deserve. If you know you deserve it, and a lot of times I believe that we don't ask not because we don't think we're deserving, but because we want to meet a certain standards. And like our sister before me said, A lot of women are very, very qualified. A lot of us are attaining the highest levels of education, but we've been conditioned not to ask for what we're worth. So I choose to challenge my peers, my sisters, queens out there to open up our minds, to support each other. When you see that someone has potential, encourage one another along their journey. It goes a long way. I know that some of the biggest moves I've made in my career, asking whether it's for more pay, more money, came from me being challenged by my peers, my mentors, to say, you can ask for more. Do not be afraid. And unless we begin to challenge the institutions that we choose to be a part of, to recognize us for our strengths, then we don't give them a chance to be able to meet us. So I think part of the challenge is opening our mouths to say that we do challenge. It's critical to our, taking the bar higher and higher and higher. Um, Secondly, like I said, I want to challenge the fact that as we continue to grow in differing roles, I like to think about, I'm a mom now, I'm a mom of 2 children. Um, and for me to do a lot of the work I did, I traveled extensively. I needed to get help. I needed to get help in my home. I needed to ask for help from my community. And I needed equal sharing of the responsibilities in my home without feeling guilt. A lot of women will feel guilty about asking their partners to take care of their children or the children that you have together, or household duties, and stress about doing all of this on their own because we've been conditioned to think that it's our role. However, I choose to challenge my peers and fellow women as we celebrate International Women's Day to regard unpaid work, unpaid care, whether it's of your children, your parents, or your loved ones, and decision making as a basic human right. That you were not designed to be the only one to do this type of care. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to get paid help. It doesn't matter if you're in the West and you have a washing machine and things may seem a bit easier. The burden of that work can be very taxing. And until we recognize that, we put our mental health, our physical health, we place ourselves in positions where our mental health and our physical health can continue to decline. Lastly, I like to say I challenge beauty standards. Um, with my brand Zolani Beauty, we're challenging beauty standards because beauty standards historically have been defined by being European, Eurocentric features, and were not carried by women who look like a lot of the women on this panel and myself. Um, Along with that, there is not just beauty standards, but the isms that come along with it. Meaning, and when I say that, I'm talking about colorism, how we choose to regard the color of each other's skin and what that represents to each other. So within, I'll talk about Black community, African community, there is this undisclosed appreciation of different skin tones, or classifying one skin tone as better than another. We do it whether consciously or unconsciously, but until we begin to be intentional about our beliefs and where they've come from, um, and until we begin to challenge our beliefs and where they've come from, we continue to pass down these stereotypes to our children. So challenging beauty standards is also not only about us, but about future generations. So generations of brown, Black, and white girls will see themselves and know that regardless of the color of their skin, they are beautiful. And beauty is not just about sharing makeup, although I'm talking about makeup, but it's about putting the best version of yourself out there. So those are some of the things I choose to challenge as we celebrate International Women's Day. Once again, I thank you for this opportunity to speak and hand it back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nawa. First of all, before I come to you, Clarice, I don't know where you came up with this women bird. You've got a bunch of, I don't know what to say, but thank you, Clarice. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this phenomenal women together.
That's what networking is all about. When you're networking, you also learn, you study about each other, you learn about each other, and you know what they're passionate in, and you know where and when you can bring them in. And this just fits in. Thank you.
That's very true. Naya, I think you have a whole lot of work to do. As you have decided to challenge, you have to continue, because from all what you have been saying, I can say you wear many hats. Congrats, girl. And one thing I picked,
thank you,
that you have put your tasks in order of priority. That's what leaders do. That's why you could drop some and pick up some. And for the fact that you went into military at a very, very young age, I'll beg of you to nurture talents within the younger generation, girl. Please start organizing empowerment projects if you have not done that. The younger, I know we are doing this for us and for the younger generation, but I think, girl, I will network and I'll connect to you after this. Thank you, Clarice, for the contacts. I am cashing them from this platform.
looking forward to it. Thank you.
That's very true. I'm picking everyone. I have new 27, about 17 new contacts I need to inbox and go on from here. Our next speaker is Leke Ntemgwa. Clarice, can you spotlight that beautiful face for us? Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
I like your hair.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Like I know you have a lot to challenge. We all agree that it is true. Yes, it's true that some men out there, and also a subset of women, are still having that difficulty to adjusting to women rising to power. What's your take on this?
Well, thank you. Thank you for extending the invitation for me to be a speaker here. I'm really honored to be sharing this platform with all of you. I'm Leke Ntemgwa. I'm based in Montreal, and it's really been interesting listening to all of the speakers before me. There are a lot of things I've picked up, but the one interesting one is from Naya, who just spoke, because she raised the topic of women having to do so much housework and not getting help from their partner. And that is actually what I'm choosing to challenge today. Under the topic of the rise of a woman is not the fall of a man, what I'll be challenging today is equal participation in unpaid housework, which has otherwise been referred to as emotional labor, and raising a generation with a gender neutral view of roles in the household. But first, I'd like to challenge the topic itself. The rise of a woman is not the fall of a man. When I saw this topic, the first thing that came to my mind is a podcast I had listened to, in which an author argued that we would be fooling ourselves if we think that centuries of patriarchy is just going to be solved by simply leaning in. And by lean in, he was referring to Sheryl Sandberg's philosophy that the way for a woman to achieve success is by pressing ahead and projecting confidence, taking a seat at the table, physically leaning in order to make themselves heard. He argued that you cannot solve a deeply rooted problem for an oppressed group without some kind of discomfort to the non-oppressed group, because you cannot lift up the people who are down below without moving the people who are standing in front of them. His point actually challenges the notion that the rise of a woman is not the fall of a man, because real empowerment for women involves loss of power for men. Basically, for a woman to rise, there's going to be some displacement in the man's position, and I agree with that. In my opinion, though, it is a shift and not a fall. I believe that there's enough room at the table. Yes. I was watching a documentary about Candace Parker, an American basketball player. She led her team to several WNBA victories, including when she was pregnant. And at the end of the documentary, she said, so what we're saying to the guys is, we're not asking you to leave the table. We're just asking you to scooch over a little bit, make some room because the girls are here. I find that women taking up that space simply means a greater return on investment for the table as a whole, because women bring so much untapped value to the table. So men have to share the table, they have to share the talking time at the table, and there is enough table and enough talking time to go around. Now, there are various spheres of life in which this power sharing or this table sharing needs to happen, in the workplace, in government. But the place I'd like to focus on is the household, because every person is the product of a household. The issue of equality of participation between men and women in household work, it resonates quite strongly with me, because I think, like most of us on the panel, I grew up with the very much established notion that the man plays the role of breadwinner and the woman plays the role of homemaker, which stems historically from times when women did not have full-time jobs outside the house. But today, women are breadwinners alongside men. So logically, it should follow that men would become homemakers alongside women, right? Some cultures, to an extent, have adjusted to this new reality, but for others, not so much. When we talk about unpaid housework, we're referring to all the work that it takes to make a household function daily. There's the cleaning, the childcare, the cooking, keeping track of appointments, shopping, solving conflicts, managing the family's finances, car maintenance, mowing the lawn. Some of this work, like mowing the lawn or maintaining the car, is deemed to be a man's job. But the bulk of it is assumed to be the purview of women. Now, realistically speaking, how frequently do you have to repair the car or mow the lawn or change a light bulb, compared to how frequently does everyone has to eat, or how frequently does the child's diaper need to be changed? So for sure, a man or a woman may be more adept at a particular household job, but the idea is to ensure that there is a balance in the amount of time each person spends in doing this unpaid work, so that neither person is unduly burdened. According to the philanthropist and former Microsoft executive, Melinda Gates, women spend 7 more years on average performing household work than men. 7 more years of their lifetime. What I'm choosing to challenge us on today is to have equality of participation in unpaid household work and raising the next generation with a gender-neutral approach to housework. And we as women have a role in making this happen. I was once catching up with a friend of mine who had a broken leg. She was walking on crutches. And in the course of our conversation, she mentioned that she had to go to the groceries. And I asked, well, you're going to do groceries with your broken leg, where's your husband? And she said, he's downstairs watching a movie. And I asked, well, why doesn't he go to the groceries? And she said he wouldn't know the right things to get. And I said, well, you just have to give him the list. And in case of doubt, he can always do a WhatsApp video call from the store and show you what's there so that you can tell him the right one to get. And she said, oh, yes, you're right. I should do that. And then I asked her, who's going to make dinner? And she said, she will. I said, why not have him do that? You just have to sit there with your broken leg and give instructions. And she seemed taken aback by such a suggestion. It was like, my husband cook? It was clear that that was quite a far-fetched notion. Now, I know my friend to be someone who loves cooking and loves the role of serving the best dish for her husband, and that is wonderful. Where I feel there's a problem is the idea that you must be the one to do it all, or the idea that a man cannot do the groceries or cook even when you have a broken leg. If your boy children grow up never seeing their dad do anything in the kitchen, then we would just be bringing up another generation that views kitchen work as being only for a woman. I view running a household as being no different from running a company. You know, you have to manage people, you have to allocate tasks, manage money. Probably the only thing you can't really do is hire and fire people. Maybe spouses eventually get fired sometimes, but you can't fire the children. So just as we women were raised to do and own household chores, I believe men were concurrently raised to regard that housework as a woman's job. And this is not to give men a pass, but I want to think that if something has never been required of you, then it kind of doesn't really feature in your consciousness. The way my husband and I usually say it is, it's just not on my radar. And just like in a company, for anyone starting a new job, you have to train that person in order for them to gain mastery of the job. So I think we have to educate and train men in this regard. And in some ways, it is frustrating, and I have felt this frustration, having to be the one to tell someone to do all the obvious things that women automatically do around the house. And this is part of what emotional labor is about. But if a man can master doing a paid job, I bet he can master doing an unpaid one as well. It takes the same brain power. I recall times when I used to feel just so overwhelmed from always being the one to whom all of this defaulted to. Why is it that I'm the only one thinking to do everything? You know, the mental energy of thinking of what needs to be done all the time. I felt exhausted and I felt resentment. And I think it's important to have conversations with our spouses or our partners about it. A real conversation around, this is what emotional labor is about. And you need to learn to have this stuff be on your radar on a daily basis without me having to tell you, because it is exhausting for one person. And I can tell you, the more I have had those conversations, the more positively different things have been. We all know about the proverbial excuse that women give when it's time to take a roll in the sack, right? You know, when she says, oh, not tonight, honey, sorry, I have a headache, can't do it. Well, it may not be a headache at all. It may be just that the lady is plain exhausted, both physically and emotionally. So of course she's not in the mood for it. So guys and ladies, I contend that making sure that there is equality in housework not only makes the household as an entity run more efficiently, it has lots of fringe benefits as well. In the bedroom, in your marriage, for your children. And there are lots of studies that back this. Certainly, in order for women to rise up from the burden of doing the bulk of household work, men will have to give up some of the leisure time that they enjoy from not doing that work, whether it's time that they were spending watching movies or watching the soccer game. They would have to give up some of that time in order to take on some of this work. Someone once asked the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, about her experience as a woman in a position of power. And she said she felt that she had a bit more political space than many other women in leadership, because she was the third woman prime minister in her country. And so in New Zealand, the question of whether a woman could be prime minister had already been addressed. The answer is yes. So that gave her more space to focus on showing that a woman can lead with kindness and empathy. So I'm challenging us today to break the cycle and get to the point where your spouse or your boy child doing the cooking or changing diapers is normal. Then we would have a lot more space, not just to focus on an even more equitable societal structure between men and women, but more space to enjoy the benefits of this equity starting in our household. I'm challenging us women to facilitate that equal participation of their male partners in unpaid household work, and to enable the raising of a generation of children who get to view household work as gender neutral. And I believe that we need to be clear about the fact that the rise of women is going to mean some adjustment to the position and power of men. But once that power is shared or redistributed, value does get created for everyone involved. Thank you all so much for listening.
Oh my God. Well done, Leke. Well done. Oh God. Yes. One thing, why I'm laughing is that you said men have to realize that while helping their women to take part in some of these unpaid house chores comes with fringe benefits.
It does.
It's as simple
Um,
as that. It's as simple as that. Emilian, over to you. We cannot really dwell too much into this because I mean, like you've said it all. Thank you. I've learned in particular that there's someone here, she knows exactly why I'm laughing. So we all have learned. Emilian, over to you. Thank you so much.
Honestly, when you were talking, I just thought of I don't know if it's a cliche or what it is to say, if you know what you bring on the table, you're not gonna beg somebody to eat that food. You said it all, girl, and I want to take this opportunity to thank every woman for the strength, the courage, hope, resilience, wisdom, compassion, and the determination we have and use in running our homes. We know the man can be the head of the house, but the woman is the head of the home. And there are many things we need to challenge, even some of the privileges, especially the privileges the men they have for not having paternity leave in some countries. For me, I come from, my background is Finnish, and the men have equal paternity leave time as the woman. So it's left for them to choose. But with those countries where they don't even give paternity rights to the men, I think we need to challenge that, because if some of those men they have paternity leave, then the woman will have enough time to take care of them. Thank you, Leke. Because of time, we'll move over to Clarice. Are you sure you're ready for Grace?
You can introduce.
Grace.
Yeah.
I have a namesake here, Grace.
Yeah, let me bring Grace in. Where is Grace? Thank you so much, Leke, and thank you so much, Grace. You are here for, yes. I know Grace is one of those ladies who is so passionate about family unity, about love in a family, about that equal participation in a family. Over to you, girl. We are here to learn.
Thank you, powerful ladies. I mean, sitting here and listening to you ladies, I'm baffled. So it's such a privilege to be part of this amazing and powerful group. What I would like to challenge today is the rise of a woman within the very basic setting, which is the family. It is basic, but it's very important and it's very significant. Now, my question, I've been listening to Queen Belle and to Leke, and what the things or the few questions that I've got is, why should the rise of a woman be a challenge to the man? Why should it be a threat? Why should they be afraid? Why should they be scared? What is it about our rising that is threatening to them? And I want to throw it to us, ladies, because that is very pertinent. Because yes, we are excited about empowerment. We are excited about rising, but how are we rising? Because if we know how we're rising, then it will help us to settle our men, our partners' discomfort within the family setting. Because Leket said, yes, there's a little bit of discomfort. Now let's go back to where we all come from. I'll go back to what I call the cultural aspect of it. How were our men brought up? They were brought up to, with the skills to become fathers, with the education, with the experience, with the knowledge that they needed to become fathers, to become breadwinners, to become home managers. And how were we brought up? Now, if we have realized that we can do more and become better within that setting, it's supposed to create a discomfort. But how can we manage that? Now, I'll take you ladies back to a few days ago, we had Megan. We had the interview of Megan. And we know she's a very empowered lady. But one of the things that struck me was her eagerness to learn how to compose herself when she becomes a royal. She was asked, she said she wasn't even trained. She wasn't given the basic lessons that she needed to fit in. For me, that's an indication that yes, it is good to be a master, to be empowered, but we need the skills as women. We weren't privileged enough growing up to be trained, to be given those skills as men were given. But now we want to own it, we want to take over. But then we need to do that with the necessary skills. That means we still need to learn. And that's, for me, that's where communication comes in. I need to sit down with my husband and say, all right, guy, look, let's talk this thing out. I want to do this, I want to do that, but let's talk. How are you capable of running the house? How have you been running the house? Because I want to also step in there and do this and do that. Because this is where I feel we have a problem as women in our rising. This is why I feel we might have those challenges. And if it's not well managed, we have, difficulties in our relationships that might lead towards, marriage, divorces, separations, as a result of us trying to rise up. So we need to sit down and learn the skills. We need to sit down and be able to listen to to fellow men. How are they doing it? We also need to be talking to fellow ladies, because I particularly have seen ladies that when they feel they are up there, now they come back home. Oh, humility is out of the window. They are no longer humble, no meekness, nothing. They are now in control. I am bringing in the money. I am bringing in this. And as a result, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. But when the men were in charge, they weren't doing that. So ladies, I am challenging us to go back and learn how to manage our homes, to go back and learn how true leaders function. Because that is only when we will be able to say we are empowered in a rightful way. It shouldn't be a threat. It would be a little bit of a discomfort. It shouldn't be a threat. And that discomfort could be resolved by just sitting down and having that conversation. I sit down with my partner. I say, look, guys, this is how I feel. What do you take? How do you see it? And if that approach is done in a respectful way, where we have a good, true discussion, why not? Why should he be threatened? Why should we be afraid? So I choose to challenge us ladies that in the pursuit for leadership and empowerment, please, let's get the right skills that's needed for that position. That's why I truly believe that we are still struggling, like the ladies. Again, I had another experience. Being in a female-dominated job where all of my colleagues were females, and that was the worst place to work. So thank you, ladies, for listening, and I hope that we can keep doing what we're doing.
Thank you so much, Grace. Thank you. We need to sit down and learn the skills. Rising shouldn't be a threat. That's what Grace says. In our rising, we may have problems, but we need to be able to manage when we rise. We need to be able to learn the skills when we are rising. And Grace gives the example of Mbeng. Mbeng had to learn how to become a princess or a duchess. Yes, even though she's well empowered, she still had to put herself down to learn. Are we doing the same as women? Are we going back to the basics to learn how the men started doing what they are doing? So Grace urges each and every one of us to go back and learn the skills, because rising, a woman rising should not really be a threat to the man. There may be some discomfort, as Grace says, but it shouldn't be the threat. Over to you, Emiliene, for our next speaker. Thank you so much, Grace.
Clarice, that was a brave one from Grace, and I like the way she mentioned the Duchess. I thought about what she said in the past. She said, gender equality can't happen without the men. So it boils down to the fact that communication, it's the core. The way we pass it out to the men is what matters. So we all know we have decided to challenge situations that have happened to us and situations that are happening to other sisters out there. And even the men, we are joining our voices today to challenge, because challenging is not a choice, but an obligation. We can all choose what to challenge and then be able to live up to it. Let me unmute somebody. And now we go to Bella. Bella is the daughter of one of us. And as young as she is, she has already decided to join her mothers in court and challenge something. Clarice, can you spotlight Bella? Bella, how are you, girl?
Hi everyone. Happy Women's Day. I am so excited.
I just love your braveness, you know. Knowing you personally, I celebrate you. Some people might think it's arrogant, but as the UN woman would say, you are being bossy. You're not being arrogant. It's a privilege to have you amongst your mothers, your big sisters, and your aunties. So, Bella, what are you ready to challenge?
I am so excited. My younger brother says I am the baby in this group. I think that the rights of a woman is not all of a man. And I am also choosing to challenge my limits. As a young woman, I saw how my parents were together, as grandparents were together. It's not the same today. I grandparents and my granddad, the head of the home. He was everything from start to finish. And at my own house, at home, there was one where my dad was literally, and my mom was the housewife, you know. But today it's not the same. They've changed, a lot has happened, and I am choosing to challenge that rights of a woman is not the fault of a man, because women are so powerful. When they work together, a lot can happen. This room is so many people here, and I'm shaking, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing in here? But I'm so happy I am here. But I am a mom myself, a new mom. I am a student. I am a businesswoman. I am running my own business, and yes, I still work. On top of all of that, I still work. A lot of people ask me, how do you do it? How are you doing all of these things? It is because I have chosen to challenge my limits as a woman, as a young woman. I have chosen to challenge my limits. I have chosen to challenge how far I can go. I've chosen to say, I'm not going to bring myself down to say, oh, I'm just going to get married and stay as a housewife and not do anything as, you know, my parents before them, their parents and all of those were doing. No, I decided to create opportunities for myself. I am challenging women like myself to create opportunities for themselves. What I am doing today, I create that opportunity for myself. I did my research, I studied. I own a makeup brand, and I do produce some of those cosmetic products myself. Took extra classes to learn how to do those things. So I'm challenging young girls, young women like myself to challenge their limits and push themselves to not just become housewives, you know, to not just become mothers, stay mothers. And also, it's not a bad thing to become a housewife, you know. It's not being a mother, it's a whole job on its own. It's a crown that you're wearing on your head. It's not easy. Sometimes I go to bed and because I have to make sure that my baby is fine, he's eating, and I tuck him into bed before I start planning my business program for the day, before I start putting things down for the day. And that will take me up until midnight and all of that. So I choose not to just sit at home, let a man decide what will happen to my tomorrow, let a man decide what I will eat tomorrow, let a man decide how my hair will look like tomorrow. No, I have chosen to challenge my limit, push myself, provide for myself. So if tomorrow, if there's no man, I know I am able and capable to look after myself, to look after my baby. And I was talking to a friend because I do host classes as well, like makeup classes and all that. I had a student a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to her, and then the baby was crying, and I called the baby's dad. I was like, can you please pick up Jay for me? I think he needs changing. After he left, the student was like, I hope you're not going to, they're not going to shout at you after. I hope after this call, he's not going to insult you. I was like, hold on, what do you mean? And she's like, well, if he's your husband, then you're not supposed to ask him to change the baby. I was like, excuse me, it's not my baby alone, you know. We share the responsibilities. He's responsible for that child as much as I am responsible as well. So I know that I can ask for help whenever. My mom is in here, she knows that whenever I need something, I will ask for that help. I am not going to put my hustle aside because I want to change a baby. I know there's someone that can do that for me, you know. So I have chosen this year, I know I'm the youngest in here, but I have chosen to challenge my limits, and also I am choosing to challenge young ladies out there to challenge their limits, and also to let them know that the rights of a woman is not the fault of a man. Do not be scared to go out there and challenge. Do not be scared to look for opportunities for yourself. Do not be scared because you're living under a man, and you think that if you go out there and you bring in more than that man, it will be something else. Do not be scared how it will take you. Just about conversation, sit down and talk. This is the opportunity I have created for myself. This is what I want to do, and I am doing it. I will do it, and I will do it again and again and again. And I know that the young ladies out there who are just waiting for opportunities to be given to them. No, create yours, create your own opportunity, work for it, work for it. Don't wait for someone else. Don't sit under a man's roof and think that, you know, and cry tomorrow and be like, he's not giving me money for this, or he's not doing this for me. Says, no, you can get those things for yourself. Do yourself. And yeah, that's it. So this year, to challenge my limits and go as far as I can get. Thank you guys so much.
Over to you, Emiliene.
Yeah, Bella, thank you. I see your mother smiling from Mola to Mola. Actually, Bella, leaders are not influenced by the crowd, but they influence the crowd. As young as you are a leader, because today and many other days, young women like you, they are bold, they are courageous to take action, join other women like the women on this platform to to learn and have those tools that they need to succeed. And if you do that, you continue to honor them, you continue to recognize some of those female trailblazers around you, you learn from them. Hearing their stories of courage today, I think, is a boost to your growth, and it's going to be simply unforgettable. Please keep challenging your friends. Keep being a mandate to your generation. We appreciate you. Clarice, next on our list is patience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emiliene. And thank you so much, Bella, for, whoa. Oh, how old are you again? With that mindset, I don't know what you'll be when you'll be 50, but you know, all I would like to say is keep encouraging the younger generations, young girls, young moms of your age. Just keep up. That's very, very brilliant. And that was very well presented. So our next speaker is Patience Abonke, and I'm not sure if Patience is here because she said she was coming in late. Patience, are you here? If Patience is not here, then we'll go straight to Linda Amungwa. Linda.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
What
yes.
did you choose to challenge for this National
Thank
Women's
you.
Day?
I just want to say thank you to AC and to Emiliene for organizing this talk show. I have just been blown away by all the previous conversations. Like I have so many notes, I could actually do a dissertation on just the conversations that I've listened to so far. So I'm very privileged and very honored to be here today. And I'll be talking on the topic of the rise of a man is not the fall of, the rise of a woman is not the fall of a man. And what I'm choosing to challenge today is the stigma and the judgments that queens and women like us who are passionate and speak up about gender equality issues, the stigma and the judgments that we face. Okay, so not every woman is courageous or believes in women empowerment or is able to speak up on issues around gender equality. And when some of us choose to speak up and choose to challenge, we are faced by judgments, we are faced by stigma, and this probably applies mainly within our sort of Cameroonian or sort of African culture. And I'll explain a bit further. So you hear people say things like, oh, you know, just speaking on what Leke was saying about household chores and, you know, sharing duties at home. And you hear other people say, oh, you know, I really feel sorry for that person's husband because the way she talks about this women empowerment thing all the time, she wears the trousers in the house, you know, they start to feel sorry for your husband. They think that you're not a good wife or you're arrogant. Like there's all these judgments that come purely because you choose to challenge and you choose to speak up on gender equality issues. So I'm going to start by looking at maybe single ladies. Okay, if we look at the single ladies within our community and the pressures that they are under, especially the single ladies that speak up about gender equality issues, you know, they're being judged. You know, people say things like, oh, that one will never get a husband. No one is going to marry her because all she talks about is women issues, gender equality. You know, she's one that is going to want to wear the trousers or be the boss in the house. And, you know, and they expect you to tone things down or to lower your standards or, you know, in order to be able to get a husband. And we even see situations where parents, for example, might not want to further the education of their daughters. You know, they don't want them to achieve higher education because they feel that the more education you have, it puts you at a lesser chance of getting a husband. So there's all this stigma that goes around women, powerful women like us who are speaking up against these issues. So I am a mom of 4 children, okay? I have 4 kids. And, you know, there's no way I can attend to all 4 children at the same time. Sometimes we can go to a party and the kids are running up and down, and I'll need my husband to maybe keep an eye on what some of the kids or change nappies. And then the next thing you hear is, oh my God, see, her husband is doing this, she's changing nappies. I wonder what goes on within their home, you know, and there's all these. And, you know, speaking up about equality issues doesn't make you a bad wife. It doesn't make you a disrespectful woman. It doesn't make you somebody who thinks that they're above and beyond a man. It's about, let's get this balance. It's not us wanting to be above. It's about, let's all support each other. And the stigma around it is just unbelievable. And it happens in our community so much. And this is why I am really choosing to challenge this. Sometimes you might have a woman who's, you know, in an abusive relationship, and she takes that courage to leave that relationship. Instead of us as women or men as well supporting that woman, we tend to be judgmental, especially if it's a woman who speaks up on gender issues. You know, people say things like, oh, you know, no doubt the marriage didn't work, it was her fault, you know, because, and it's just not right. You know, women need to be able to speak up on gender equality issues, and especially within the family unit. We need that balance. And when I was listening to Leke, and I was like, this is really, you know, what we're talking about. You know, we all need to share in the chores, and the fact that we are telling our husbands to help us with the house chores doesn't make us bad wives. And I think it's really unfair. And sometimes some of the judgments come from us women. You know, it doesn't always come from the men. We have women as well who are judging other women and saying how, you know, they cannot be good wives or they are not respectful because we choose to challenge these issues. And I think this really needs to stop. So I know we're conscious of time, but again, I just want to say that please, women should not be put under any pressure not to progress in their career or progress with their education or ask their husbands to help out in the house because of the stigma that goes around with it. So thank you very much. And yeah, I've really enjoyed the show. Thanks a lot to those who organized this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda, for pointing that out. Yes, unfortunately, women are the ones judging other women in our communities. Like you said, in places, when we go places, for example, yourself, you have 4 kids. There's no way you can attend to all of them at the same time. So obviously he has to step in. Unfortunately, when he steps in, not particularly you, there are so many others, when they step in, she is the one wearing the trousers in that house. She is the one doing this. How dare she? I will say, how dare you question what is happening in my own house? But at the same time, it is good that the men also step up with their own responsibilities. And linking again to what Leke said, we also learn how to, if they can learn to do the job that they are being paid to do, then they can also learn. We can also teach them to do what we expect or what we require them to do as far as household chores are concerned. So thank you so much for bringing that up, Linda, and thank you. Emiliene, over to you. Our next speaker is supposed to be Eunice, but Eunice is not well. So we move on to the next person, who is Judith Moore. Emiliene, unmute yourself.
Sorry about that, I didn't notice. Thank you, ladies. Next on the list, we have Umejo Vania.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Vania, are you there?
It's muted.
Okay. Yeah, I'm there. Just a lot of music from the background.
There's noise in the background. Is it possible to move away so people can hear you?
It's from the neighborhood, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
From the neighborhood.
Over to you, Emiliene.
Vanya, we are here today because we have chosen to challenge certain things, and we know our collective legacy is going to provide light and shade for the next generation to come, and this also will help us in our journey and many others. Today, celebrate International Women's Day 2021. What are you as a person choosing to challenge?
Yes. Happy Women's Day, all of us. I will celebrate Women's Day. We know that it's not just a day event, but a yearly issue. It's a continuous thing, not just the 8th of March, as generally assumed. So as an individual, I choose to challenge the stereotype and the discrimination that women and girls face that tend to hinder their empowerment. And doing that, there are a lot of strategies we can use. I think we can use the issue of training, advocacy, education, and empowerment. Those are some of the approaches that one can use to effectively ensure that the unnecessary discrimination women face, especially in Cameroon, in terms of some preferences, inheritance rights, that they give priority to men. They believe that a woman will leave their compound to a next family, so they give priorities to men. Women find themselves in families, but decision making, they don't consider them. They believe that you have to go to another family to make decisions. But when you find yourself in another family, they say, no, you are just a wife. So a woman is always in a confused state. So I tend to challenge those discriminatory attitudes. Because those discriminatory attitudes channel to the next generation. The girl children grow to know that I'm just a child in the household. So what do I have to offer when my brothers are talking? The brother also say, who are you to talk when men are talking? So they make to have women to have inferiority complex. But those philosophies need to be dismantled. And how can we dismantle them? By sensitizing the young ones to give them appropriate training, the appropriate advocacy campaign and knowledge that they need to know to understand that the society is for everybody and not just for men. They should not only find themselves in care roles. Women should not be part only in the kitchen. The women are making influential decisions in the community, they should be there. Their own role is not only to save people after every occasion. Their own role is to plan for whatsoever needs for development in the community, in the family, in the home, in the society as a whole. Those are some of the principles we can accomplish. And when we are looking at saying that the rise of a woman is not the fall of a man, it's a broad concept. And when I look at it, we look at the dimension of empowerment or advancement. What is the implication? When a woman rises to authority or position of influence, it can be in terms of economic, in terms of education, legal knowledge, socially. What is the implication now to the society and the man? The man here will not be the husband. It can be the husband, it can be the father, it can be the brother, it can be any community member. How do they benefit? Those are some of the things. But I believe that if you understand from that perspective, the men who always are afraid of the advancement of women will understand why they should support the women to go ahead. Women should support men, men should support women. Nothing that always that the problem of a woman is a woman. If men are able to understand the necessity for our advancement, they will support us. But we see as a opportunity to challenge them, they do not want to support us. So to us, we should look at it that when a man rises as well. The rise of a woman does not bring down a man, but instead make the man to be more advanced. And to act as collaborators, not competitors. So we can say that when a woman rises, what's started of living within the family, the reduction of burden on the man. Men at times are happy with their position, but they are overstressed. The society tends to place so much expectation to the men. But if a woman is empowered educationally, he will share ideas with the man. If a woman is empowered financially, we will support the man investment in the family. So when a woman rises, I believe it is not for the disadvantage of anybody. The families benefit, the man benefit, the community benefit, even the government. So we should not see the rise of a woman as a challenge, but it's an opportunity for growth. That's one of the aspects. And we talk about of health. One of her, in those days, our women were not going to school, they were not educated. Their rate was increasing because they don't know how to manage their children. They don't know how to control their hygiene and sanitation and nutrition. But when with the extent knowledge we have now, the birth rate is reducing, their rate is reducing. Why? The women are more empowered, they are more knowledgeable to know how to manage their family in a healthy manner. So why the family is not made just of women, it's made up both of men and women. So when the woman transfer the knowledge of education to the home, everybody benefits. So to us, women should be encouraged to advance more because it benefits everybody, not just the woman herself. And when we even talk about issues, they act as partners and collaborators now, as the other female our colleague were talking about allies. We act as partners and collaborators. And when we collaborate, the more efficiency. But when we say that you are a woman, no, sit at home and do this, you are not able to do why? When we cannot collaborate, how can we advance? If you want to look at the level of national investment, you say that we are underutilizing resources. But when all our resources are brought together, the greater growth and development. We are not relying on people because they are women. We are women, but we are not just ordinary women. We are women who have ideas that if you use the one the man has to produce better results. So if all this one goes to tell other the rise of a woman does not mean the fall of a man. It rather means the more advancement of a man. And it also reduces the burden because research shows that women are always crying of violence, violence, violence. But men face more psychological violence. So most of their stresses they are going through, they have nobody to share with. But if a woman, the power of a woman utilized, they are able to give on their own suggestion on how they can handle some of their challenges they are facing. A woman is not only a woman. A woman is a human being. It's not a stone. It's a human being who have influence, who have ideologies that can help promote man, the business of a man. That's why I believe that there's increased investment within the family circle because the woman will be able to contribute ideas and finances. They will help them to carry out sustainable projects. So if we keep neglecting our women, it will not be so good. So in the long run,
Vanya,
yeah.
can you hear me? Thank you so very much. We have time limits, and I want to just tell you that you are incredible.
Thank you.
Powerful woman. Continue to inspire your community and look after us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Clarice, she said something that leaders collaborate. She said something that we need to collaborate, and I think that's one aspect of a leader. Thank you so very much, Vania. That was funny.
Thank you, welcome, a pleasure.
Clarice, over to you, girl.
Thank you so much, Vania, for that great presentation. Unfortunately, we are running a little bit against time, so we need to be quick so we get everyone to speak. So our next speaker is no other person but our financial guru. I'm not sure if she knew that that's how I would like to present her. Yes, our financial guru, Judith Moore. She's going to tell us how she's challenging, how she's choosing to challenge the fear of us women becoming financially independent. Judith, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. And I would like to take the opportunity to thank everybody who has been on this panel. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing, mind-blowing, really. Thank you all very much, Clarice and Emiliene, for organizing this. And I'm really happy to be part of this. I've learned so much from all you wonderful ladies. And I'm not going to talk too much because time is really against us. But as a woman in finance, and I would just want to say something that one of the things that I choose to challenge is the fact that it's like in my job, I have to apologize for the fact that I'm also a mom. I remember last year, just before the pandemic, I had just this one day of work, And you know, like a woman who is a career woman, when you have this one day off, you plan everything around your kids. And it was my daughter's Christmas play as well. And I had planned all these things, my daughter's GP appointments, the school play and all of that. And then at 8 p.m. in the night, I mean, I pre-booked this day and it was really a special day. And at 8 p.m. in the evening, my boss sent me a message the eve of the day and said, you have to come to work tomorrow because I've booked an important meeting. And how do you even start responding to that? You have this pack for your days all around your kids, and then you have a client, an important client's financial meeting to attend because your own day or your kids' day is unimportant. So, and that led to me losing my job. So I actually lost the job because it then created this really awkward relationship between us after that. It happened that the HR was a woman. And when she saw me coming at work, because I told her how important this day was, she was like, what are you doing here? And when I told her, she went straight to the partners and it was a war. So you can imagine I lost the job after that. And so I've chosen to challenge that aspect, that I have to be apologetic for also being a mom, for also having a life apart from what I have to do at work. So my new role, one of the things I was very particular about when I went for interview, I had to tell this story over and over again to let them know that as a mom, I have children that I have to cater for. And so a client's finances will not come in the place of my children. That's point number one. And then as a result of that, I then made this decision that as women, I have to do something outside of my career. You know, we've grown up as women, we build these careers, our lives are focused on career. Now that was an eye opener for me. I spend this time building the finances of other people, right? And then I get to lose my job just because of the fact that I have to also stay around my own children and provide just one day for them. So after that, I said, no, I'm not going to depend on a job again. Yes, I will still go to work, but now I'm educating all women. I'm talking to moms and I'm promoting moms I'm challenging them to find ways of finding financial freedom outside of your job. Financial freedom doesn't mean you have all the money in the world. It simply means that you can still survive without depending on that salary. It simply means that you can stand and say, I have kids to take care of. I have other family issues to take care of without necessarily depending 100% on your salary, and be unapologetic about it. Unapologetic about it. So because of that, I started a side hustle. I started an Amazon store. It's challenging. I go to work. I come back even in the midst of children. I like Bella said, after the kids' homework and all of that, I sit there to fight with Amazon, the legal side of things. I mean, I almost had a lawsuit when I was applying for my trade name and all of that stuff. It's been challenging. I go to bed 2 a.m. at night, and I'm challenging all of us women to find some aspect of financial freedom out there. There are a lot of opportunities out there. Speak to a woman. You don't have to do what I do, but if you come to me, because of I am in finance, I talk to people every day. I see different business ideas. It doesn't have to be what I do. You don't have to do what I do. But then if you come to me, I could give you a proposal of all the other things that I've seen out there, and you can make a choice. You can make a decision on what you want to do outside of your work. And also, I'm also challenging us women to be the backbone of the finances of our homes. Because one thing is that the men may bring in the money, but they are not good managers of money. So as a woman, you will be able to manage your home finances better than the man. And just like they say that when a home breaks down, the woman gets blamed for it. It doesn't matter whether it's in the aspect of finances, it doesn't matter whatever aspect it is. When you learn how to manage your home's finances, then it makes the home better. You work in partnership with your husband to manage your home's finances. I mean, it's never about how much your family finances are. It's about how much you can manage what you get. And this management, I can assure all of us, lies in the hands of the woman. Men, they from my experience, they just don't know how to manage your family finances. But then it's never about how much you earn. It's all about how you manage these finances. I dare to send my daughter to a private school. My husband is totally against it. It's always about how can we afford this, because we don't earn a lot. But you see, being a woman who has chosen that my child's education, especially in a world like this, where where our color challenges us, and like it's not about how much we earn, it's about managing the little that we earn and making sure that working together as a team, we can bring the little that we have together and we can go places with it. So just in addition to everybody saying that when you join together with your husband in collaboration, it doesn't bring him down, rather it empowers him as well. It's never about his position being threatened. It's just a little inconvenience, but you adjust anyway if you position it rightly, as Grace said. So thank you all, ladies. I would like to stop there because time is against us, and I hope somebody learned something from what I said.
Oh yes, I definitely did. It's not about how much you earn, but it's about how you manage what you earn. And working together, working in collaboration with your partner makes the whole difference. Thank you so much, Judith. And we just quickly move on to our next speaker, and it's Sophie. Sophie Ekambi. Sophie, are you here? I know you've been waiting for a very long time. Sophie, are you there? Yes.
Hi, Clarice.
Hi. And
hello.
Hello. Let me put you on spotlight. Let me see. Hold on. Can we see your video?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it wouldn't allow me to put you on spotlight if there's no video.
All right.
Hi guys, we still have a few more minutes to go and we still have 2 more speakers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Clarice, and thank you all ladies for all the wonderful things you've said. I must say, I have learned quite a lot, and I have felt challenged already, I must say. Just following on from what my previous sister has just said, it's quite interesting to hear what she said, and it's nice to hear that and take things back, and you think about it, and spot on, you can think about, oh, I am guilty in that domain, I must try to improve on that. So thank you very much. On this special occasion, I have been thinking so much about empowering women, and personally, how over the last few years, as I'm growing to be, I wouldn't say a young woman, an older woman, getting there, I will say I have learned, somebody said this previously, that sometimes we are our own worst enemies. And I think we have to get to the point where we have to find the best in people. I have passionately been saying that to people. If you see your sister, if you see your friend doing something that is nice, please tell them. Because personally, as a person, I even feel cheated that I go to the checkout and I see someone wearing something nice. It's just something little as your earring or a necklace, and you're not able to say, oh, that is lovely. Because for what you know, that could be the best thing that that person has had for that day, and it will make their day. So I think as women, as we talk about empowering women, we must choose to find the good in everybody on earth has a good in them. Sometimes we have to look a bit deeper to bring that good. And we all have our shortcomings, we all have our downsides, but let's choose to focus more on the good in people. And as you know, Clarice, in our CAMSIS, where we all part of, our slogan is the only time you look down on a sister is when you lift your hand down to bring her up. That has been our slogan for a very long time. We've talked about maybe changing it, and we felt the need to keep it because I strongly believe in that. And I think that if us as women, we start empowering, not just preaching it, but actually living by example. Living by example is not the best way, is the only way. And if we start focusing on that and trying to think, I'll see the best in my sister, I tell them, how can I do this thing that you're doing? It is so good. How can you educate me? How can you tell me what you're doing? Just like my previous the previous speakers said, I think it's about time that we women, we will challenge our men if we start advocating for each other, start seeing the best, not looking at the fault, not looking at, oh, why does she have to, change the child, do this when the husband is there? It's little things like that that we have to really focus on and start speaking up and start looking at the good in every sister, in every woman, and try not just preaching the gospel of empowerment, but actually leading by example. I know we're running out of time and so much has been said about empowerment. So on that note, I will say thank you so much, Clarice and Emiliene, and may this network continue to go a long way so we can continue to learn from each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. That was powerful. You just spoke about consideration for others. I think in a loud world, people just move along without even noticing that they have offended others. The social media is very brutal. So let's try to be on the positive lane and support one another. We all have been witnesses to this. COVID has shown us how time we have borrowed is so limited. So let's try to stand up for one another. I just want to take this opportunity and thank all those who are speaking at the end. And we want to say again that the list was not arranged by any order. We just tried to get a structure. Everybody is the same here. It doesn't matter if you were the first speaker or the last speaker. And on this note, we bring up our last speaker for the night. That is Effie Grant. Hi.
Oh, the last.
The last but not the least.
You saved the best for last, I can promise you that.
That's the spirit, though.
So, hello everybody, and amazing things have been shared already. So I hope that this last one will help to sort of be the icing on the cake. And mine is the rise of a woman is not the fall of a man. Now, I'm taking this from a society and culture point of view, more to do with the relationship or marriage. And I'm going to begin as a woman of faith from the biblical sense, okay? So if God himself thought man was going to be okay, he didn't need to create woman. This woman, Eve, had everything, beauty, a garden bigger than Buckingham Palace, food, animals, and one man all to herself. No other woman to fight with her over. And she still wasn't satisfied. She allowed the serpent to get into her big head to do the only one thing forbidden. We are such complex beings. Not very long ago, I actually listened to a lady describe women as a land of our own, and that the God who even created us doesn't understand us. And I thought, you're so right, my sister. But here's the thing. I believe that we women, we appreciate that we are complex beings. But we, along with the men, forget the one thing in this entire world we are forbidden from. And that is not to rise above, standing firm. Now, Eve may have failed us badly, but here we are, still fundamentally made to rise. And the men need to understand that we rise in order to protect and lift them. You've gathered by now that that rise is not necessarily literal, the woman built up all the way from birth to being multitasking, as many of you have already, mentioned, at home and at work. We have to rise. I mean, we say that behind every successful woman, every successful man is a woman. Why? It's because she prays and she hopes for him to be well with positive thoughts, anointing his feet and his coming and going with words of affirmation. So let's understand our role first and let it sink into our own mindsets. That the man's role is also to just love, love, and love. You see, I believe that Adam may have been absent-minded for a little while, which allowed the serpent to go and manipulate Eve. But my pastor might tell me otherwise, but that's what I'm choosing to believe anyway. I mean, yes, we are complex, but I'm sure you'd agree that a loved woman is assured, confident, and mature. I mean, these attributes also come from doing well, rising in our chosen fields or wherever we find ourselves, being praised. And the icing on the cake in any relationship is being recognized by your man. This woman can be the best companion ever. And men need to get that into their heads too. I mean, they couldn't do it all on their own. That's why we're here, to rise to the challenge of good companionship, to will them on. Now, I give myself an example. My Jojo is the best champion that I could ever ask for. Everything I put my mind and hands to, he says to me, darling, I'm so proud of you. That was fantastic. Do you think next time you could try things this way too? I think it will make you even more incredible. Then I feel so amazing, inspired, assured, confident in my own capabilities. And one of those capabilities, when I've risen to be that companion he needs when he's down and out. I mean, men are said to be masculine. And yes, they can exercise that masculinity very coldly at times. But sort that's patriarchy. They're babies, let's face it. When it comes to it, they need our arms and bosoms to lean on, and all is all right in the world again. Will they admit it easily? Absolutely not. And here's where I choose to challenge the men when it comes to domestic violence or abuse. But let's not forget that women also abuse men when it comes to this. My initial challenge was challenging racial and gender inequality. But sadly, in my home country of Ghana recently, there have been cases, more cases of men who have abused their women, and these women have lost their lives. And I had to say it was enough. I know that so much has been done already, but the one thing that I'm choosing to have to challenge on this is to challenge our own culture and norms that continue to lead men on the idea of being superior and forgetting the duty of love. Now, this sometimes starts from the home. Mothers leave the boys out of chores and say things like, oh, he's a boy. Mommy's boy does no wrong. He's going to be the man, We're all here with the need to have to challenge the generations that have come before us to stop them from continuing to say some of these things. You get into marriage or relationships and, challenging times comes and you hear more often than not, sometimes our own mothers and aunties saying, marriage is a long road. Don't disgrace him. Just stick with it. Even if it pinches you, be quiet, take the pain, because it's a long road and you don't want to bring disgrace to the family. But no, here's it. We need to say no more, no to these things. Save ourselves, save our sisters. Now, for the generations before us, admittedly, it might be late, but I think we can challenge them still and also challenge ourselves to bring our sons up with so much intention, that their role is of love. And of course, our daughters to know of their roles. But then also as peers, you know, as sisters, don't set another woman up for failure. All that pressure, oh, you're not married or you don't have kids. Let's hold that fire. And where you see pain, lean harder, listen more intently, and offer your space and uplift another woman. Now, uplifting another woman is so easy in this century. We have social media. Just a mention or focus of how beautiful or great one is doing can be all it takes. I mean, we can add so much value to our networks. Gathering of other friends or women together to do something for one. And I'll give you an example. Just a friend has been going through something, and a few of us came together, pooled resources, and gave her a massive treat. She was so blown away, and it was deeply satisfying. We are such a powerful force together. And I know that some of these things can be one-offs, but I think, can we commit to making it a routine? I believe that some of these actions can go to show any man as well that his woman has value. And perhaps some of the dismissive ideas and disrespect may shift. Now, that will be a bonus, but more importantly, I think, this uplift will create a safe space for possibly not one woman to open up and say, I'm struggling, help me. He's hurting me, help me. Because we can help to stop some of these unnecessary abuse and loss of life. The men can get there in their understanding that our rise is not their fall, but it will also take us to help them understand their masculinity is really to exercise nothing but love. The love that makes a confident, able, and mature woman who rises to the challenge of making provision for food, water, warmth, security, and the intimacy that's been mentioned before that is so important, and prestige, you know, the very things that equip him for self-actualization, as Abraham Maslow, you know, has aptly put for centuries now. This is the meaning of behind every successful man is a woman. Wow. So let's choose to challenge ourselves, our grandmothers, aunties, society, and culture. We should not perish for rising, because our rise is their rise. Big up, sisters.
Oh my God. I was thinking, are we gonna leave this platform without talking about integrity? Effie, cross my heart to you. I'm a sister, I'm a woman of faith, but I'm not gonna comment. I just want to, Clarice, I'm shaking. I really see now that we had to, you know, God works in ways. We are not saying she's the best, but we left the icing on the cake is the last thing that comes. And on that note, I'll say, from what she has been saying, we all understand as leaders, as parents, as friends, as wives, our integrity will speak for us. So to every woman out there, let your integrity defend you. Let it bring you peace of mind and inner strength. It's your integrity that's going to increase your self-esteem. And again, do not compromise your integrity because of fear or greed. Be principled, fear not. I am Emiliene Grace, the founder and CEO of ThatName Woman, an organization in the UK where we work with girls and women who have lost their confidence and self-esteem due to adversities in the past. What we do is we work with them, we empower them, help them to transform their life, pick up their broken pieces and move on. It was a privilege to be a co-host. AC, I blow you kisses virtually. And I'm not gonna leave today without quoting Maya Angelou. I love that woman. A woman in harmony with her spirit is like a river flowing. She goes where she will without pretense, and arrives at her destination prepared to be herself and only herself. Thank you, Queens. Thank you, ladies. It was an honor to share this platform with you girls. AC, thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Effie. And a loved woman is an assured woman. She becomes a confident woman, and she is a matured woman. Effie, you said that, didn't you?
I sure did, and
Oh
Aunt
my
Bridget.
God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. There's been a lot. We've learned, we've unlearned, and we are still going to learn. We've given a voice to so many issues here today. And I hope, my greatest wish is that this should be the beginning of something. I don't actually have a name to that something, but this is definitely the beginning of something. So I just want to thank you all, each and every one of you here today, for allowing yourself to give that voice, to say that thing that's in you, is allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is not a weakness. I see it as a strength. And all of us here, we've demonstrated how strong we are by using our voices. And I think Priya said, once you've learned to use your voice, to raise your voice, to say that thing that's within you, do not let your voice be silenced. That's the message I'm passing to each and every one of us today. And it's unfortunate we couldn't have everyone, quite a few people were not feeling too well. But just the fact that you indicated that you were interested in this program, that was a massive challenge. I challenged myself to host these beautiful, phenomenal queens. And the challenge is going to bring a change. If not now, if not tomorrow, it will someday. Maybe this same day, this same time next year, we will be speaking a different language made of a lot of changes. It's unfortunate that we can't take questions from the audience, but I pray that each and every one of us, after our live show, we can all go to a Facebook, then we check on the questions and see if our audience, if they had any questions or any comments that we think we can also comment there as well, just to encourage them as well. But I would really like to thank everyone, our audience, who took the time as well to stay with us. We've been on here for about 3 hours, 15 minutes, and I still feel like going, but we've got kids waiting, we've got families waiting. We can't stay here forever, but we can make it a date for another time. Maybe next year, maybe next month, maybe when the lockdown rules have eased, we can make this event as well. I feel like hugging each and every one of you today, but I'll just give you a virtual hug. And whenever we meet physically, so if we can, let me see if I can put this on full view. Okay. Okay, let's, okay. Okay, now we are about to end our show. So if you have a glass of something, a glass of anything, then we raise our hands, we rise. We rise and we give a voice to any challenge that we face, that we are facing, to anyone out there who is struggling with one thing or the other, anything that hurts them, anything that's painful, that they don't feel like opening up. We challenge them today to give a voice to that which hurts you, because giving a voice is healing. Giving a voice to that which hurts you is helping someone else out there to heal and to be able to challenge themselves to go out and seek for help. So thank you so much, ladies. I love you all. And you have a
I choose to challenge.
Thank you so much.
Choose to challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Clarice and Emiliene. Thank you so much.
Good morning, this is AC and welcome to another edition of our Monday Motivation here at the Voice of Hope Media. Over the years, I've come to realize that the best key that you can ever have is not the key to your car or to a brand new car or to a brand new home or key to a locker, key to a cupboard or key to a kitchen door or whatever key that you are actually thinking of right now. The best key that you should always have with you, wherever you go, wherever you are, is the key to your happiness. And that key to your happiness is your decision to stay happy, your decision to be happy no matter what comes your way. So this is AC once more, and stay tuned, stay blessed. Love you always, and see you soon. Bye-bye.